Hi, welcome back to Index Card of Day 2017 with me, Creative Katie, Karen Burchill. We are on card 32 and I'm going off prompt. Instead, I'm hitting the beach. Links to any specific supplies will be in the description box for your ease. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. That way you won't miss any upcoming videos. So I was inspired for this page by this palm tree. And so I am just doing my version of fussy cutting, just using the X-Acto knife on my cutting board. And, you know, I'm not cutting every little frond out, but I'm going here and there and cutting in little bits. As long as some of them are cut out and you have that peeking out, it'll look okay in the end. So I'm cutting out all the background because my plan here is to create my own background for this palm tree. And I've decided that I just simply want the one. So I'm going to, you know, kind of create my own idea of where these fronds end and begin. I'm just kind of trying to get a bit of a ragged edge on some of them. If you're not a lover of fussy cutting with scissors, give this a try. You need to have a sharp blade, and you need to have a cutting board. So now that that is done, just going to figure out kind of the composition of what I want here. And I'm pulling out a few of my sentiments that may go with what I have in my mind. And these I all have in a little box that I keep. I have quotes in several places, but while I've been doing these ICADs, I just have this box at the ready, and I can flip through it if I'm not doing something that's prompt specific. So I went and I pulled some teal papers, some brown papers, and some darker blue papers. And for the most part, I wanted things that were pretty transparent, translucent, that were on deli paper or coffee filters to get that effect. So I want basically I'm going to build three parts to this background. The sand, the ocean, which is going to be the tealy blue, and then the blue in the sky. So what I'm doing is just ripping up these pieces and mixing and matching. I don't want to just put one solid color of a jelly print, and I could do that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But I like the effect that it gets when you collage this, especially when you use deli papers and things that are translucent, that you can kind of sort of see things through it. So I'm just ripping up what I think I might use. And I'm trying to get rid of any hard edges. I don't want any straight sides in this. I found this kind of sunburst one or whatever, and I'm thinking, well, maybe I'll put that right behind it. It's just, I kind of got a flash of something there. So now I'm going to put my three piles, and it's time to start creating the background. And this is a actual old music sheet that has been stained with coffee. It actually smells of coffee as soon as I wet it. So I'm starting with the middle portion, and you can see I'm mixing and matching. There's paper towel there, there's deli paper, there's coffee filter textures, and all those add to it, as well as the cut edges. And right now, when I'm looking at the what is the sand, the music paper, the coffee stained music paper, I'm thinking it doesn't look so bad. I was going to put that's gold tissue paper on top, and I didn't like that look. In the end, I come back and I change the sand again. But you can see the different effect you get by layering these colors and these different bits and pieces from the different jelly prints. I really enjoyed doing the collaging of this background, and I think this is something I want to do and explore more of. It just seems to scare me when it's a big canvas or a big page, but I really think I need to give this a try. This was so much fun. And then I'm having some odd, shapes there, the long line, and bringing up the blue in there. You just play with it. It all makes for a very interesting background. So there I'm trying out that starburst, sunburst kind of thing and thinking, no, that's not what's in my head anyways. So after drawing this, I'm just cutting off all the edges. And I'm not really happy with the bottom, and I have this coffee filter that has gold paint on it, but the gold isn't quite enough. So I grabbed my Distress, I think it's walnut stain, my Distress ink pad, and I'm just putting that in there, wetting it up and making it so that the gold shimmers, and I really like the texture of the coffee filter better. So I'm thinking I'm just going to cover the sand up. So I'm putting a coat of gel medium and then crumpling this up, and I'm kind of squishing it together a little bit because I want more texture. This sand part isn't ripped up like everything else, but I'm giving it texture by crinkling it and by kind of smooshing it up and deliberately building in those wrinkles. Many of the papers that I used in the collage of the background had little bits of gold in them, and that was kind of something that I selected on purpose, so that kind of read through together. I'm liking how that long dark blue piece is, so I'm just adding more of that. This is where my creative muse is just kind of taking over. Kind of windy, I don't know. So after drawing this and recutting it, I think I'm happy with the background. So there was some lettering on the bottom of this palm tree, and based on how I've decided to use it, I wanted to cover that out. So I got my Inktense blocks and I did a couple colors of brown, and I just painted it right on top of the magazine, and it covered up those letters and added a deep dark brown to it. So don't forget to use your Inktense blocks or watercolor pencils like that. You can paint over top of the magazine and adjust the colors and get rid of print or elements that you don't like. So I'm just using gel medium and getting this palm tree down. Oops. Kind of piecing it together. That's a good part of collage. Excuse me. And I've decided to go with the quote, "Life is short" by the Beach House. So I believe I'm edging this, and you can't see that, so I apologize for being off camera here. And I'm just going to glue those down. Now I edged it with the Distress ink, and I knew that that could smudge, and I was okay with that because I didn't necessarily want this to be so pristine white. So while I'm drying it, I'm thinking I'd like this palm tree to stand out a little bit more. So I am going to attempt to do some shading, floating. I try the Stabilo. I try a couple different things before I just get the right one. So I try the black, and I'm, doing it on the palm tree, on the magazine part, and that's not working. So then I decide, okay, I'm going to edge, give myself some time to think, and then I decide, okay, I'm going to grab my blue Stabilo and kind of trace around the palm tree. Maybe that will give me enough of the shading effect that I want. So I'm just kind of tweaking it out. Now the problem here is the paper's underneath the deli paper and the paper towel, and that is soaking up the water, so it's kind of distorting the shading effect. So I go back to floating with acrylic paint, but instead of doing it on the magazine, I'm doing it just off the edge of it. And you can always do shading in one of those two places. And I'm sorry that this is off camera. I was so focused on doing this and trying to figure out what would work that I didn't check to see that to make sure that everything was in perfect view for you. Sorry. Loving the teal and the brown together. Someone had commented recently that they remember a video where I've used that. That's not something I've used often, but I absolutely love that combination. So I think I might just have to have a teal brown inspired page coming up soon. Now I did a little bit of shading on the palm tree itself, on the fronds, to darken it up or whatever. I could have also gotten out my Inktense pencils or watercolor pencils and added it that way. That may have been a little bit more precise, but there's always options. That's what I keep telling you, that you need to, find lots of ways to do the same thing. So quick cleanup, and I'm debating about splattering, and then I grab my gold jelly roll pen, and this one's kind of dried up. I don't know why I don't just throw it out. And so here I'm just putting a little bit of gold, and that just ties in with the gold that's everywhere else. Because remember, there's a little bit of gold in pretty much every jelly print that I used, every colored paper. So I'm edging it with, dash, dot, dot, dot. And now that's it. You can take a look at the finished pictures.